Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville. You know, these days in the watch industry, it's kind of normal for companies to just iterate their current catalog. Maybe one thing that's been happening a fair bit lately is companies going back and grabbing old watches, old collections, bringing them up, reinventing, reinterpreting, and then putting them out. So when a company like Breitling comes along and says, we are going to introduce an all new, never seen before collection, that's important. That's really exciting. And I'd like to talk about that a bit more. So, about a week or so ago, I got an email in my inbox telling me that there was a Breitling summit coming. I've got to be honest, like most of the rest of the internet, I was kind of fixated on what we were hearing from the Tudor Pelagos FXD. We didn't know that's what it was, the Marine Nationale collab. And I didn't really pay that much attention to that email. It was really only just as I'd kind of figured out what my hot take was going to be on the Tudor that I went back and myself read what Breitling had sent. I put a little comment in the Tudor video about that and about how even I had kind of been distracted. Because you see, when I first saw this and I saw the email saying that there was a summit coming, I imagined that this was going to be an extension to one of the other catalogs. Maybe I'd heard, for example, that when they introduced the Pistachio B09 Premier, there was going to be other colors. I thought maybe this was going to be introducing some other colors. I thought the Avenger line has not really been touched for a long while. Maybe this was going to be an extension to the Avenger line. Later on, I finally started reading this and they started saying exciting new news, all new watches. I began to think, could this be a wholesale update of the Professional? Could this be an update to the Aerospace, which is a very popular watch? The Professional line has really been pared back, with the exception of the Endurance. You know, a lot of those watches have gone, so maybe something was coming in there. Maybe they were bringing in a smartwatch or something like that. But then I read the email again, even closer, and what they tell us is we're getting an all new, never been seen before collection. And that's really intrigued me. I've got so used to, probably like everyone else, got so used to being able to fairly accurately predict what any company is going to do, because all you have to do is look back at their past and drag forward. That the idea of trying to guess what someone's going to do when they tell you it is all new, never been seen, is pretty hard, but I'm going to have a go at it. Okay, so if you're Breitling and you're going to introduce something all new, what are you going to do? What is there to do? Okay, option number one, a smartwatch of some sort. There is money to be made. We don't like it. Enthusiasts get angry about it. People didn't like what Tag's been doing in this space or Hublot's been doing. But from what I understand, the reason Tag and Hublot are doing these things is because they're making money. It's doing well. You see Alpina with the Alpina Alive or X Alive. Apparently that's doing quite well also. So perhaps, and that would kind of make sense for Breitling, because they do talk about being instruments for professionals, being watches that real people would use. The emergency in the Professional line is like that. So the idea of a smartwatch kind of makes sense, but on the other hand, I just can't see it. One, Breitling has done a kind of a smartwatch before in part of the Professional line, and it didn't go great. They ended up killing it. It's not really in Breitling's wheelhouse, that kind of electronic space. And I haven't seen an inclination that they really want to go into that space. And the third thing is, if they were going to do it, I'm thinking it would almost certainly go into the professional line. And we've been told it's a whole new collection. So whilst on one level I can kind of make an argument, I don't think we're seeing a new smartwatch from Breitling. Okay, so what else could it be? I think it could be some more dress-oriented, modern-oriented watch collection. So what you've got in the sort of the forward-looking, more contemporary collections from Breitling right now, you've got the Super Ocean, the Avenger, and the Professional line. Now, all of those are very, very tool-like. They're very industrial. They're very purposeful. There's not a kind of more casual, more elegant, more fun watch in the contemporary space in the Breitling collections. So I think that's what we're going to get. I think what we're going to get is a modern looking, sort of current and contemporary styled dress / casual wear watch. Something that's not as obviously tool sports oriented as the Professional, Super Ocean or Avenger, but at the same time not harking back to the past as the Premier and Aviator lines do. It's going to be something, as I say, that kind of bridges that gap, fills that hole in the Breitling catalogue, Breitling collection. I can't tell you what it's going to look like. I don't know. I can't tell you what features it's going to have. I don't know. But I'll guess. I'm thinking it will be predominantly three-handers, and I think there will be a strong emphasis of GMT and travel functions. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a world timer or something. The world timer and the GMT functions that they've got in the Aviator line, that watch has swung backwards and forwards between a bunch of collections, never really found a home and never really found an audience. So I think what we're going to get is that world time function and potentially that movement brought forward and put into a more contemporary, more modern, very today kind of watch. That's where I think there's a hole in the Breitling catalogue, and I think that's where they're going to go. There is another possibility which is right out there, and I wouldn't bet my money on it, but I think it's a possibility. And that is that Breitling could bring out a collection called the Chrono Works. Back in 2016, Breitling started experimenting with a Chrono Works chronometer. What they did was they took their basic B01 movement and then just went to town with technology. Ceramic backplates, silicon here and there, titanium all over the place. Brought the accuracy right up, brought the weight and the power reserve, brought the weight down, power reserve all the way out. They really messed with it. They created a monster of a watch, which unfortunately they had to sell for $40,000, and it kind of went nowhere. It could be that 5 years on, that they've kind of got on top of all of that. Maybe they've been able to invest in some of those base technologies. Maybe some patents have run out. Maybe they're thinking that idea is ripe now, that what we are going to produce is kind of like the an AMG is as it is to Mercedes. That is, it will be a standalone collection of Chrono Works Super Oceans and Avengers and Premiers. So on one hand, it will use existing watches, but it will, put them on steroids and bring them out and put them out in a whole new collection. I don't think that is going to happen. I think of my 3 options, that is probably the least likely, but I think it's a possibility. So that just leaves you. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think Breitling would need to do? If you were in charge of Breitling right now and you've got the catalog that you've got and you were going to do something all new, what would you be spinning? I'm really interested to know. We've got 4 days before the summit, so you better get in quick with your predictions, or otherwise you're just telling me what happened on the day. I've been Pete McConville. This has been Not So Obvious Watches. I'll see you later. Bye.